to them and telling them, I believe that there will be a school in this place. Remember, this is a village of probably 3,000 people or more. That has no school, no health clinic, nothing, not even a church building, nothing. Nothing. And I told them I want to believe with you that someday there will be a school here. And your children will go to school. And your children will become doctors. Your children will become preachers. Your children will become teachers. Your children will become pilots. And as I said, pilots, the guy was translating in Turkana could not translate pilots because they don't have a pilot. They don't know what is pilot. He was trying to explain, struggling with the word pilot when above us flew an aircraft. And he was just struggling. I'm waiting to say the next one is struggling with the word pilot. An aircraft is flying where we were, and I told him, your children would be driving a thing like that one there. They caught it. Look at what God does. Right there. I don't know where that aircraft had come from, how many hours it has flown from Nairobi, probably 2 hours, just to be there exactly that time when I'm pronouncing those words, so that prophecy someday will be fulfilled. Do you know as we speak right now, there is up to standard, is it Pastor Mutuni help me, standard 5 or 6? Standard 7 in Lochereng, from standard 1. We built a school, some people have worked with us to build a school, and now there is class 7. 300 children showed up in that school. 300. What do you say about that? What can we say about these things? Even at midnight, if the church took the challenge and went out, it's okay to preach in Nairobi. It's okay to preach on television and radio and whatever. But it's more blessed when you are out there where the need is so great, where they have never heard about it for the first time. Nairobi, they hear it many times. I'm not discouraging you. Let's preach in Nairobi. We need the wealthy people saved to give money for ministry. We need the millions that the Nairobians are producing. We need it. But we need to think about those villages where Christ has not been named. SCMI just the other day out in Wingi, down in the villages there, they preached in one village, and there's a brother here who was a pastor in one of those churches that was begun in a very poor village out there in Wingi. Out there, in the Bunnies, where the Americans, call Bunnies. There's a church there. There are people coming to church. Over 60 people now are coming to church. You go to that church and you look at it and you say, the people are preaching to God. 60 people, look at the offering they give. You can't even get 300 shillings. Can you imagine? They can't even buy a lunch for a preacher. So that somebody that is going out there to preach the gospel, his motivation is not money. There's something greater than money that is motivating. When can we be motivated by the love of these people and we sacrifice and go and right where they are so that they hear the gospel and they see us, they feel us, we sit, we eat with them and share the gospel with them. Sacrifice. It's midnight. It's midnight that you preach where you don't want to preach. You go where you don't want to go. You stay with people and you don't want to stay with them. Last year was one great year when we went to ordain men and women in Lodwell. Men who came out as a result. I ordained several reverends and several pastors and several evangelists who have come out as a result of a man who came to our church here, and we trained him in our International School of Missions called ISOM. And they later called him the Desert Boy, because there was a little DVD or movie that came out of the Desert Boy. Desert Boy, who went back to his village after we trained him, where he said, I want to go back to my people, and I want to work with my people. He went from village to village. The last time he was in our church, he had over 142 churches. And we asked him, how many buildings do you have? Where are these churches? He said, they are all under trees. 140 some churches under trees. And I went there and I saw them. I wept. It's on DVD. We've recorded those churches. As we are driving in this sand and our vehicles are four-wheeler just about to get stuck. Some of you don't know the need of four wheels. You are crying for four wheels here. And you don't even need it here in this place. I tell you, I'll show you where you need a four-wheel. I'll show you. We're just about to get stuck in sand. And I see a group of people under a tree, and he raises his hand and he honks. And those people wave, and he tells me, that's one of our churches. And we go on, and I count 7 churches on one route under trees, worshiping Jehovah on a Sunday morning. Hallelujah. And then we go to the place where it started. In this one village where there were 2 diviners. And you couldn't preach unless you dealt with the diviners. He went and he preached to the diviners. One diviner got saved. The other one refused to get saved. By the following morning, he was dead. The diviner who refused Jesus, he was dead the following day. The other one had accepted Jesus Christ. The village came to see and to hear about this Jesus who kills diviners. We were told one miracle here, one miracle by a brother Ochen, Pastor Ochen. One miracle here. Man, that village came to Jesus. He has baptized hundreds of people in that place. I still want to know where he baptized them because I never saw water. How did he baptize them? You know what I would do? I would open the ground and I would cover their face and I would tell them to lie down and I would cover them with the sand. That's baptism, and I would take them out before they die. Baptism to the Anabaptist. Baptism to the Anabaptist meant I am ready to die with Jesus Christ. When they were publicly baptized in a river or somewhere, it meant they are ready to die just as Jesus died. And many Anabaptists, if you've read the story of them, were killed because of baptism. Some were cut their tongue, they pulled their tongue and cut it. Or they tied it with a tongue. They tied it, they could not pronounce Jesus Christ. Michael Sadler, bleeding from his mouth, proclaimed Jesus to them because they had cut his tongue. And they took him to the square where they burned him alive. He was heard singing songs to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Francis Midnight. That suffering, we might need it for ourselves to wake up for sacrifice. His wife was drowned in a little river in Germany. I've gone to see that river. I was preaching in Switzerland with some friends and we drove up all the way to that little village. I can't remember the name of the village where Michael used to preach. And then we were shown the bridge, the little bridge, where the wife of Michael Sadler was drowned. They brought her out and tied her legs and her hands together, the whole body, and they put her in a sack. And then they got a heavy stone and they tied it into that sack and they rolled her over into the river. It was a clear day. You could see as she went down to the bottom of the river with bubbles coming out, her life coming out. That's how they ended up their life. They did not love themselves at all, but to serve Jesus Christ. Church, it's midnight. It's midnight. We've sat too long. We've enjoyed comfort too long. We've enjoyed money and prosperity too long. The Lord is calling us. The Oroma people out in the north, the Turkanas, the Samburus, the Pokot, and all those tribes out there, they want missionaries. How are we sending missionaries anymore? It's midnight. Those people asking for a bread out there, but we're eating too much. There's too much celebration here and little feeding of those people. It's midnight. It's midnight. What's your part in these last days? Do you have a missionary budget? Do you have a missionary tithe and offering in your church? Do you know where to put your money, where it multiplies faster? That is where the souls are. That's where the souls are dying without Jesus Christ. That's the best place to multiply your money. I know if I started a scheme here, so like the one we started a couple of years ago, somebody designed a scheme that if he got bishops to start a scheme of multiplying money, Christians are going to give money. And we give money. And we invested our money. And some got better and better. But a lot of people lost our money in Desi and others. And I'm so shocked to find out after Desi, so many other schemes came and people also lost money. What I want a scheme? Our scheme, they don't hear. They don't even see. Because we're investing in the wrong places. I stood up in church and I told people right after that, because some people were taking loans to buy shares with Safaricom. Because it was a thing that time for you to own Safaricom. And there was a great promise. What happened later on? And I stood up and said, another better one might come up. People borrowing money, they are paying for, that money interest, very high interest. And here, the shares after buying, they just tumbled. The value just went so low from 5 shillings to 2 shillings. You bought it 5 shillings, and now it is at 2 shillings. How much have you lost? Ooh, I just told people in church. But some say, he doesn't want us to invest. Okay. You invested. How much have you gotten from Safaricom since that time? Not a whole lot, right? But if you invested in souls of people, where missions are taking place and you put your money there. Deliverance Church, when they started here in a Mabati house, I went and saw the potential in Dr. Batia, one of us. I saw the potential in him, and I told him one time, let's go. The other day they were just telling me, Bishop, whenever you tell us to let us go, we just go. They don't even question where. Another day I told them, let us go to Kakamega, Vihiga, out there. And they all jumped in the car and we went. And then their wives were calling them and asking, where are you going? We don't know. Bishop told us, let us go. So they began to ask me, now where are we going now? After the wives asked them, because wives want details. So anyway, I told Mate, let's go. We went to the Philippines. And his eyes began to open for missions. He came back to his church and told them we need to start a missionary program in this church. So they fundraised and they bought a missionary bus. A missionary bus they bought. And they bought equipment and they called me to go and dedicate this bus and this equipment for missions. And I was so excited. I want to dedicate it, and then he took me around there and told me also, we want you to break the ground for a church. They already have a Mabati house, but he told me break the ground for a church. So we took those instruments and we just hit the ground there somewhere, and we opened the ground and we left it. It was not long before that a church started coming out, a real permanent cathedral. You see it as you're coming into Nairobi. They have done so much missions. They have done missions in Western Kenya. Our church goes out there for missions. In Kilifi, in Mombasa, holidays, they are going for missions. The church is going for missions. I don't know how many churches they have planted around here and in Thika. So many churches. The guys are into missions. That's no wonder. That church found many of us here building, and we've never completed our building. They are completing ahead of us because they put their money first where it is needed in missions. So God in return blesses their programs at home. Most of us are saying, let us fund the kesha, let us fund the whatever at home, and we wait to do missions later on. That's why we're missing it. It's first things first. Missions. God is calling every church here to begin a missions program. I took Bachi again. I took him to Germany. He went and he saw the darkness there. The next time we were in Indonesia. Oh my! And we went into Sumatra, enjoying the brethren there in preaching the gospel. Bachi cannot remain. If I tell him, let us go, we will go. We will go. He told his church, I am leaving, I am going, and there we go.